So I prepared, here you have the link to the file, to the gist where we have the data. First, we analyze the data that we are shown by default. This is, we have an object, a first object that is users. As you can see, this is the first object we have on our data file, and later the questions of our application. All of these are questions. Both are objects. So let's focus on the first user to see what information we have here. And I'm just going to move it a little more, to zoom it a little more. So for each user, users is an object that has as object entry the ID of that user. As you can see, Alice Thomas is the key for the that user, and this is the value for that user. And inside the values, we have the ID, the same name, the same information here, the name Alice Thomas, the avatar for that user, and the most important things are the answers and the questions. So here we have an array of questions ID. We would consider that are the questions created by that user, and these are the answers object of that user. And it's like, if we later go into the questions, that would be the ID of each question and what option we chose over that question. So in this case, this Alice Thomas created 2 questions and answered 4 questions. If we go and try to find, for example, this question ID, we see that is the first one. And we see also that questions is an object with IDs as objects, and values are the ID of the question. Sorry, so the ID is the ID of the question, and the value of that object is the question in complete question. Here, ID, author of that question, Alice Thomas, the timestamp of question creation date, and the 2 options. So here we have the text for option 1, know the history of every object you touched, and option 2, be able to talk to animals. So if we see this question and we show it to the user, we would see, would you rather know the history of every object you touched or be able to talk to animals? And in this case, we see that no one just chose this second question option, sorry. And for the first one, knowing the history of every object you touched, Alice Thomas answered for that. And all the questions objects are the same here. So what I prepared here was another presentation where we can define, sorry, we are in lockdown in Spain with this pandemic crisis, and we are all at home. So the child in the up floor is always playing around with a little, I think it's a ball, I don't know, but that sound is over there, so it's difficult to record without that sound. So sorry for that. So here is, we are going to analyze the data.js file we provide in a more user-friendly approach. And this is, okay, these are the users we are going to build. These are the avatars that right now I have. I might go and change the John Doe avatar because it has this red square around him. And later, if we do the avatars with the circle, typical circle, I think it's going to be ugly. But for now, it's nice. So we have 3 users: Alice Thomas, Rachel Adams, and John Doe. I created the 6 questions that we have in our application with, we can see here the question ID and the questions options. So for example, we can see that the first user, let me check, that was Alice Thomas, this one, created these 2 questions. The first one is know the history of every object you touch or be able to talk to animals. Also, she created the would you rather always be 10 minutes late or always be 20 minutes earlier? John Doe created would you rather have one real get out of jail free card or a key that opens any door? I think that, if you have a key that opens any door, maybe you can get out of jail. Two, and also go back to H5 with everything you know, or know now everything of your future. And the Rachel Adams user created the would you rather all traffic lights you approach be green or never have to stand in line again? And also the question, would you rather have an easy job working for someone else or work for yourself but work incredibly hard? So now we have this. It will help you later check your user interface that everything is working. And next approach is the answers they provided. So in the previous slide, we have the questions created, and now the answers per each user. As you can see, it's like an NPM relationship, as in a database. Questions point the users and users point questions. So Alice Thomas answered for questions, and we can see that in the first question she preferred to know the history of every object she touched. Also, she preferred to never have to stand in line again. She answered that she preferred to have a key that opens any door and always be 20 minutes early. Rachel Adams prefers to have a easy job working for someone, and also know now everything of your future. And John Doe answered 3 questions, and that would be go back to H5 with everything he knew, worked for himself, but worked incredibly hard, and a key that opens any door. I see that everyone answered the same question, the same option. They chose the same option, and that's incredibly nice. So that's it. That is the main approach. I think that's you get value of these slides. I will show you, give them, make them available for you to also check. So what I recommend you is to read the data file, check these, get your head around how from just a data file we can just create slides and think about how the application will work just with the data. So let's move to another thing. But first, we have analyzed this data file, so we complete it. And the next part and last part of this video would be choose a CSS framework. And I have opened the websites of the most useful frameworks we could use. There are a lot of them, but usually when you try to do this project, you will see that you have available Bootstrap, the most common used framework, Material, and Semantic UI, and Ant Design. So let's see a little more about the applications. Okay, so you can see that Bootstrap is in version 4. All the libraries, and this is I think that if you are trying to develop this application, the most common frameworks that you could use and the most documented ones would be Bootstrap and Material UI. This is the framework that Google created, following their design for user interfaces. They are all of these frameworks just work on the same approach. You just have, a bunch of components built with nice properties that you can pass to buttons or to those components, and just begin to use those components. Also, you have Semantic UI. This is a very nice also library framework, and the Ant Design. I'm not going to go over the benefits and pros and cons of these libraries. Choose wherever one you prefer. I was going to choose just Bootstrap or Material because are the ones that most people use, and also the ones that I have used a lot more. Also, I've used my Semantic UI more, and Ant Design I haven't used it much, so I decided to use it to test, to give it a try on this video series. So I won't be doing a very nice Ant Design use of it. I won't be doing the best undesign website because it's my would be my first time. But okay, so we are going to use this library. So undesign is there. Now we are going to go coding in deep. We are just going to code everything. So relax, take some coffee, and I wait you in the next video. Okay, goodbye everyone.